If I were to ask you your favorite Magic card, or what card you would consider iconic from your earliest memories of playing Magic, I bet your answer would start with a pause, then the card name, and then a story about how that card came to be so memorable for you. For many of us, it would be the first
Dude.
card we built a deck around, or an awesome pull from a booster pack,
What?
or the art really captured our imagination. One of the most iconic cards for me is Chromium. I must have been around 11 years old, and this was the card my older brother used to mercilessly teach me about the game. Even with his explanations about why the card wasn't infallible, I was unable to see past the fact that it is a 7/7 creature with flying that got stronger the more creatures you tried to block it with. This was a time for me when whatever was biggest was best, and I simply had nothing to match the power of this metallic dragon amongst my modest collection of one portal starter deck. I was fixated on this card. It was the bad guy no amount of willpower or can-do attitude could overcome. Any attempts to remove it with my few damage spells were met with counter spells of his own. No single creature I had could match it, and if I were to block it with multiple creatures, the rampage mechanic would make him stronger than any defense I could build up. In a game where I was building ragtag armies with any creatures I could piece together, the idea of tuning a deck was a concept I was woefully unaware of, and Chromium was the dragon at the top of the mountain. The art was always cool to me as well, but it brings up more questions than answers. How is he, or how did he come to be metal? Are there other metal dragons? Is that castle in the distance important to Chromium, and who is he breathing fire at? Of course, when I first played Magic, I didn't follow the lore, and as I improved as a player, as the formats changed, and I got into drafting, Chromium and his dominance faded into the background. But those initial memories run deep, and that card image was always one that stuck with me. In adjusting to life with its ever-changing responsibilities and its unique ability to push and pull us through the years, I didn't play much Magic towards the end of high school. But every now and again I would jump into a random game or see others playing, and I would have that flood of memories and card images of my younger years come rushing back, and at the center of that mental collage were cards I owned, bordering cards I wish I had owned, and grouped in the middle of that image is the expected Black Lotuses, the rest of the Power 9, Gaia's Cradles, and Chromium. Now, returning to the game, I look for more content around the characters, the planeswalkers, and the planes themselves. I'll go through old articles, read through the MTG wiki page, and watch more great YouTube content that dives deeper into the Magic universe. These rabbit holes are often followed with the rediscovery of old cards, waves of nostalgia, snapshots of when I saw certain cards as a kid for the first time, and of the game store I spent a lot of my childhood weekends playing any game I could. What is also rather remarkable is I still get excited about the game of Magic, probably more so than when I was a kid, especially when new sets are on their way. I get excited for spoilers, for new art, to dive in and start decoding draft strategies, and the new limited format and the pre-releases that await me and my friends. 2018 marked the return of core sets, but a strong majority of everyone's focus centered on the upcoming third trip to Ravnica. When Core Set 2019 spoilers did roll around, I came across a lot of familiar cards, which is to be expected as a majority of core sets often are reprints, but I certainly did not expect to see one familiar name, the name belonging to this iconic card from my childhood, Chromium the Mutable. At first, I didn't even realize this was the same Chromium, because this couldn't be the same dragon. The one I remember was robust, with thick metal rings for a neck, these broad metal wings that spread wide, and a head that looked more like a transformer than what I was seeing on this new card. I typed in Chromium and scrolled for the art that I knew from my childhood. Sure enough, the metallic dragon, the castle behind him, the star of reflection at the top of his wing remained unchanged. I reread the name, Chromium the Mutable. Again, I doubted it being the same dragon, but it was not like the numerous other cards that use a primary character's name to explain their role or allegiance or showcase their purpose. It was Chromium with a title, the Mutable. The Mutable seems like an unexpected title. Clearly, I had another rabbit hole to jump down. I immediately learned Chromium's full name is actually Chromium Rule, and not only was he metal, he was a shapeshifter. And he wasn't just a dragon, he was an elder dragon. He was brothers with Nicol Bolas, Ugin, Marevia Sal, Arcady Sabbath, Palladium Mors, and cousin to Vivictus Asmadi and Pyru. But why am I reading the word was and not is? How could an elder dragon, a shape-shifting elder dragon at that, be killed? In looking for an explanation, I learned Chromium was the second to name himself after being spawned by the Ur-Dragon. Chromium wanted to study nature and understand how the world worked. he taught himself how to shapeshift into human form and blend in with the humans of Dominaria. Then came the War of the Elder Dragons, ignited by a feud between Nicobolus and Vivictus Asmati, and though many Elder Dragons died in the war, most who were left wanted to eat the humanoids left on the plane. Chromium wanted to teach and guide the humanoids, but his brethren didn't take kindly to his ideas. Chromium had to go into hiding as a human to escape. Later on, he was wrapped up in more fighting and fought alongside his life partner Pyru, both being summoned by an ancient demonic planeswalker, Gaedrone Dihada. Pyru died, but Chromium survived. He then next appears in his shapeshifted form as a man and named himself Ham, the Tickery Man. This still feels like an odd name, but odd name or not, he continued to fight and try to protect humans from the other elder dragons and evildoers of the plane. Chromium kept focusing on protecting people, but wartime often involves those that don't want to be involved. He ended up being caught in the shards of the 12 worlds as it closed at the end of the Brothers' War, which was between Mishra and Urza. Among all those trapped, 3 human planeswalkers, Faralin, Leshrak, and Tevesh Shat, hatched a plan to start a fight with the other people and planeswalkers there with the hope that a different planeswalker would die. This was important because it was thought only a planeswalker would contain enough power to open the shard and allow them to escape. But it wasn't a planeswalker that died, it was Chromium. And even though he wasn't a planeswalker, he was powerful enough to open the shard, and thus everyone else escaped. So this card, Chromium the Mutable, this is a callback to his youth. This was him as he was learning and working to blend in with the humans living on Dominaria. And knowing that, he doesn't come across as this wicked or vindictive or evil elder dragon like so many of his relatives and the humans he tried to save. He was a protector, a fighter, and ultimately died because of others' selfish actions. And now it makes so much sense as to why Chromium the Mutable actually can turn into a human and then back into his elder dragon form. If we look back at the original art and knowing a bit more about Chromium, does it make sense to think he was protecting the castle in the background? That he may be breathing fire in an attempt to dissuade would-be attackers or potentially fighting off another elder dragon? Or am I simply wanting to remember Chromium in the most positive light possible and remember him as a hero of sorts? Either way, the good guy elder dragon is gone, but a legend all the same. And I'm also reminded of a certain scene from another childhood memory, The Sandlot.
Remember, kid, there's heroes and there's legends. Heroes get remembered, but legends never die. Follow your heart, kid, and you never go wrong.
No one wants to see something they remember fondly perish, and maybe it will be another 20 years before we get a new card of Chromium, but I'll always remember and be looking for more of my favorite Elder Dragon, a card that I find iconic from my earliest memories of Magic, Chromium. I don't know if you all watched my video where my older brother gave me his collection of Magic cards, and I put them in a binder like some of mine, some of his. These are just kind of the cool cards that I really like. But in this binder is that initial Chromium card. Like it's just one of those cards, you know, that connects you to the game on a deeper level. And for me, it's not about the value. You know, for me, this is the sentimental piece of the game. And when I saw this card going through the collection, it just hit me in a deeper way. It was really cool to see that, you know, and it inspired me to think about cards that had really shaped my playing and my learning and loving the game of Magic. And that card's always going to stay in this binder. In whatever binder I have that has my most important, most valuable, whatever cards that are special to me, Chromium's always going to have a place in that binder. You know, this is cool. I don't know, like what are cards to you that are iconic? What cards connect you to the game on a deeper level? It was awesome. And if you haven't checked out those videos, you just like seeing old collections, you can check those out. I had an idea as well that I went online and found whatever copies of Chromium I could find. The Legends ones are really expensive, but Chronicles ones I own. If you enjoy the videos that I'm making, this kind of stuff, if you want to help out the channel and you become a new patron after this video gets released, I will happily send you a signed version of one of these bad boys. Or if you don't want it signed, you know, whatever you want me to do on it, happy to customize it for you, for the help that you provide me. Yeah, it'd be cool. I just thought it'd be cool for me to be able to share a card that does mean something, that means so much to me with you. So with that, really appreciate y'all watching. See you in the next video. Peace.